Hey, good morning, guys. How's everybody today? Hey, listen, I want to get right into this, okay? I want to talk to you about this thing we did on yesterday and what you'll be doing on your quiz today. Okay, so we get the importance of how we cost out food, right? I can't sell anything unless I know what I have in it. So we did that on yesterday. Remember the exercise we did from the video? So where we costed out that pasta, right? That egg pasta. So remember that it came to $1.51 to make that recipe, right? But here's the deal. I can't sell it for the $1.51, could I? There's no profit in it. So there's a formula that this industry uses, and you guys make sure you get this, okay? Once you cost out your recipes, then you've got to determine your selling price. That's just not something we just grab out the air, okay? That's not a price we just, let me just sell it for $5. Doesn't work like that. Here's how it really works. There's a formula for that. Now, what we found out is the industry says that when I operate at a 35% or lower food cost, that means I have a chance of operating in profit. But listen, that's formulated to cover your food costs, your labor costs, your insurance, your rent. Now, I'm going to have to clear that up in just a second. But meaning this, okay, let's look at that pasta we made yesterday for, $1.51, which is going to be like 3 servings, right? So watch this. Can't sell it for $1.51, can I? So I'm going to use this formula. I want to operate at a 35% food cost or lower. So I'm going to go with the 35. I would take the $1.51 and divide it by 0.35, okay? Now, there's a key to this. Please remember this, guys. Anytime you're doing math with a percentage, you've got to move the decimal 2 places to the left. Meaning this. So I said I was operating at a 35% food cost, right? When I do that in math, it'd be the $1.51 divided by 0.35 because I moved the decimal place 2 places to the left. I would do that math, right? Get it? You've always got to do that. Remember, when you're dealing with percentages, you've got to move that decimal. All right. Now, so with that said, so I did the pasta, I did the math at the 35% food cost. That means I've got to sell that pasta for $4.31. Now, that's just the pasta. That's what I have to make from that. Out of that $1.51, I've got to make $4.31. Now, listen, what happens is we do this with, when you cost out your menu or recipe, you go down and you break it down what it costs, right? Then, once you know what your total cost is, that's when you add your food cost percentage. Now we know what to sell it for, okay? Now, but listen, there's a couple other variations I better make you aware of. Okay, on menus, some stuff performs very well. Other stuff doesn't. Meaning like this, some stuff flies off the shelf, other stuff moves more slowly for whatever reason, okay? Like, okay, well, let me show you this, and I think you'll get a clear idea. No sense me put a high-end steakhouse in the hood, right? Who's going to go there? What kind of business would they really get? Right? You see what I'm sort of saying? So there's other things that you look at as well. So watch this. Pasta performs well, as you see. So in reality, man, you'd be lucky if you had $4 in pasta that we sell for $12, $13, $14, and $15. Now, let's suppose I had a prime cut of a ribeye prime cut, okay? Could I really do that kind of markup on it? Suppose I marked it up where it's $35, just based off of this. This is a formula. Some stuff I can't push to the max. So in this chapter also, that's where you start looking up that thing where you're looking at your menu mix. And that means that, okay, I have this, and this. Some stuff performs better than other. Okay? And also, let me share this with you. I told you pasta performs very well. So does beverages. Just think about this. When you go to fast food restaurants, guys, remember, I don't know if you remember, but one time they used to give you your cup. They would fill it up themselves and give it to you at the counter. But now a lot of places give you the cup, right? And your self-service and drink. Well, I want to assure you, if there was a lot of money in that beverage, you think they would just let you do your own thing? No. Because think about it. There's only, well, I don't know if you know, there's only pennies in beverage. And that's why some restaurants, well, let me say it like this. Food service organizations have food and beverage directors. Some larger ones will have a food director and a second position as a beverage director, okay? There's money to be made in beverages. And that all really applies back into your menu mix. All the items, the different diverse items that I'm selling, some have a larger profit margin, others have smaller. And it makes sense. Now, watch this. Just because you costed your recipe and you know what you want to sell it for, it never told you how many of them you have to sell a day. Right. See, that's something that you have to think about as well. Okay? So, how is that determined? Well, when I know my prime costs, right? You know, there's variable costs, there's standard costs, there's ones that are constant. Your rent's always the same thing, your insurance, right? But you've picked that up from these chapters, right? So here's the deal. When I operate as a whole, as a manager or owner, there's things that I want to see perform. I've got to know that things are performing correctly. So, with that said, it starts, if you're in food business, with your food, right? Costing, knowing what it costs, knowing what I have in it, knowing what I'm selling it for. There's one other thing you have to know, though. It would behoove you to know how many other people do what you do, how close they are to you, right? Who's your competition? What are they selling the exact same product for? Those are things that you need to know, right? Yeah. Okay, so watch this. Here's another thought. Here's another concept. How accessible is your business, right? What do you mean by that, Chef? Okay, watch this. I live in Evans, Columbia County. Now, let's just suppose I sold pizza. I got in the pizza business. There's some research I would have to do before I did that. I'd want to know how many pizza joints are in this county, how close they are to me, what's their average price, right? Now, watch this. There's some research that has to be done. I would I would research, well, how many pizzas are sold a month? Let's just say it's 100,000, okay? And I see, I'm selling 10,000 a month. Well, that tells me that I have 10% of the market share. So that means if pizzas are being sold, and this is how many, I sell this many, that tells you what part of the market share you hold, okay? Now, true enough, a lot of us have business ideas that we want to put in place, but please, ma'am, please, sir, please know that it's just more than just, hey, because your family said, that tastes real good, you ought to open up a place. Takes a little bit Not a little bit, takes a whole lot more than that, okay? There's some planning, there's some resources you have to have in place. There's a whole lot of information you need to know prior to. Hey, so listen, so have you ever been to a restaurant that you liked, went back sometime later, they're no longer there? Yeah, well, I've seen that happen. And now, that I'm in this business, I understand a whole lot clearer why they're not in business. Some of the practices, if you don't have a really good, big, sound business practices, you probably won't be in business long. Okay? So, getting ahead of myself, of course. So you've costed, right? You've done your markup. Now, most of you, I know, well, all of you are going to sell more than one item if you're selling food, okay? You got to understand what performance is, okay? And be able to do that. So I know as you're looking through your chapters, you're seeing words budgeting, control. All those things are important. I've told some of you, the weirdest thing is if you're going to really move up in this business, a lot of times you learn how to cook, right? Learn this cooking game. So you don't cook. Well, what does that mean? Well, as you see, you're beginning to see there's the food side of it, the kitchen side, the actual cooking, right? And as this chapter is teaching you, there's that other side of it. And it's the business side, you guys. And it's imperative, if you're going to be in business, that you learn these principles, because it's really going to determine what makes or break you, whether you stay in business long or shorter or failed business. And then listen, don't be misled. There are people that follow a lot of these principles, okay, that still don't make it. So this isn't to discourage you. This is more to say, hey, listen, know what you're getting into. Know all the things that will affect you, your success, right? So ideally, from this, I think you know how to cost, okay? So I think that's a major accomplishment, now knowing how to count to the penny what you have in something, okay? Now, we can talk about quite a few other things that affect these bottom lines as well, but as a whole, these are the principles of how we operate in terms of food costing, right? And markup. You're going to cover in this chapter today, in these next two chapters that you guys are working on, you're going to see where some items, like we said, sell or higher end items. Then you have others that aren't as profitable, but you just sell a bunch of them, which leads me to this thought as well. Okay, just because you come up with a price and it's competitive, right? That doesn't mean you're going to perform well, because there was another thing you have to look at. How many of these do I have to sell a day to be okay? So watch this. I have the best hamburger in all of Augusta. But if I only sell 20 a day, you see what I'm sort of saying? There's other components. So not only do you have a good product, but you got to have the volume of sales as well, okay? And we'll talk about that later, but that's something to consider now. So now that you're understanding how to count this money, right, you've got to know how to anticipate this money, meaning that you're going to see a word called forecasting, right? But let me share this with you. One of the worst things in a business, for most businesses, our food businesses, that really mess up our bottom line and our money, it's called leftovers. And how do you avoid it? Well, culinary math. Don't create them in the first place, right? When you're able to know that, hey, listen, I've got 60 covers, you adjust that recipe, right? New yield by old will get you exactly what you need, right? Yeah. So these are principles as well, okay? Theft, right? Managerial control, those type of things, waste, trim, those are all things that will affect our bottom line. And we're going to talk about that in the next few days as well, okay? We're going to tell you how to calculate edible portions, as purchased. We're going to cover some things that I think that are really going to help you guys as future business owners and running businesses, okay? Again, if you have some questions, you guys know how to reach me via email or call me on this phone when you're ready, okay? So listen, you guys are doing pretty well on your assignment, so that's great. I'm glad you're picking up a lot of this math without me being present. So heads up on that one, guys. Good job. Hey, don't forget your quizzes are due today. There's a part A and a part B. You're going to have to cost out that recipe. I showed you how to do that on yesterday, and I gave you a really simple recipe. And the funniest thing is, you made this recipe at school previously, so that's the great thing about that, okay? So you can be a little bit more familiar with it, and talk to you tomorrow.